guys, so we're at the new property this weekend, and our project for this weekend is to clear all this brush behind me and prep and build our new compost area. So for those of you that have been following along, you know that we have a chicken coop and run at our current property, and it is time to clean it out. But I don't want to leave all of that amazing gold behind. So I want to clean it all out, bring it here, let it sit here until next summer, and then I can use that when I plant out my 2023 garden. So the plan for today is to actually move this about 10 feet that way. And the reason that we're doing that is we haven't built the raised beds yet. So we started taking some of the wood off of the existing house that is here on the property. And we realized that it was going to be a lot more work to use that wood to build the actual raised bed garden. And so what we're going to do is we're still going to remove the rest of the wood, but we're going to keep the 1x8, 1x10 pieces, stack it all up, and then I'm going to use that to build ad hoc boxes. So for example, my perennial beds are going to be a lot lower than the rest of my garden because I don't need to garden in those perennial beds every year. And so my asparagus bed as well as my strawberry bed will be used or will be made out of the wood that we take off of that house. So the actual raised bed garden for the 2023 gardening season has been put on a slight hold because there isn't a huge rush to build that now. We still need to take the rest of the wood off the house, but we will do that. So for the time being, all of this brush that we are then going to be adding into our raised beds, just going to be moved that way a little bit so that I can use this area behind me for the compost area. So let's get started. I'm going to start moving it. I will video a little bit and put it on quick speed because I'm sure you don't want to watch me moving all of that. And then we will show you how we're going to build our new compost area out of skids. Okay, so here's a better look at the pile of branches that I'm going to be moving. I don't think it'll take me that long, maybe a couple hours, maybe less. And I'm just going to actually move it over to this area here. And then that way I have easy access to add them into the raised beds that we're going to be building. And so I'm just going to span across the property here. I just want to show you the actual garden space that we have here. You can see all along this area here, we've planted our fruit trees. So currently we have 4 apple trees planted, 2 pears, 2 cherry, and a plum. So it took me roughly an hour and a half to remove all that shrub. I did it myself because I'm wearing jeans and a sweater in this heat, which most of you probably think I'm crazy. But 2 weeks ago when we came here, I encountered some poison ivy. I've never had poison ivy before. I didn't even know what it looked like. So I am currently on medication and a heavy cream. And so I didn't want my husband helping me just in case, you know, he got it as well. It's taken me 2 weeks and I'm finally just starting to get it under control. So I wanted to take a quick second to briefly talk about the comment I made earlier about using all of that brush in my raised beds. Now, some of you might be thinking, like, how am I going to plant when I have all that stuff in my raised beds? And so for those of you that are new to my channel, at our current property, we built waist-high raised beds out of a recycled barn. And what I did was I used the Compost method to fill those beds. And so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be layering those beds. Probably about 65 to 75% of the bed is going to be layered with brush and wood chips and manure. And I'm just going to keep doing that. And then the top, probably 8 inches will be a really nice fluffy compost mixture that I'll put on top. And I won't put that on there until probably the beginning of the season, just before I'm ready to plant, so that everything else can kind of compress down. And so I just wanted to let you know that I wasn't going to be planting in all of that brush. For those of you that haven't used the Permaculture method before, or you just plant in the ground. And so some of you might be wondering also why we're choosing to do raised beds as opposed to just planting in the ground. And so the main reason for that is that it is really hard on my body. At our current home, we have a few different gardening spaces, and one of them is an in-ground garden, and then I have 2 other spaces that are raised beds, and I can't tell you how much nicer it is to garden in a raised bed. For me, it's just so much easier. I can sit on the box, or I can get a little stool and sit on the stool. Even when I'm on my knees and I'm still raised up, it doesn't hurt my back. And so that is the reason why we are going through this process of covering everything and getting ready for our raised beds. Here is a look of the area that I cleared, and then we put down the landscaping fabric. Behind it over there is where I moved all of the brush that we'll be using later on. And then you can see hubby here is spraying all of our fruit trees. We noticed that there were a lot of eaten leaves, so we have tent caterpillars, and we're just making sure that we spray them, protect them. They're fairly new. We only planted them about a week and a half ago, so we just want to make sure that they survive their first year here. So the next step in our project is to build our compost area. So we are going to head into town now, and we are going to scour for some skids. We're going to bring them back here, screw them all together, and call it a day. Able to get some pretty good skids in town. The pile that I saw originally was gone. No surprise there, because everybody uses them for something. So what we're going to be doing is using some of the wood off of that existing structure to make the skids a little bit stronger, to then make the compost area that much more sturdy, and it can support the amount that I'm going to be putting in it. One day, and all the materials we used today were free. It's amazing. It's not pretty, but it works. And again, it's free. And when you are starting from scratch, anything you can do to save yourself a little bit of money with some sweat equity is, in my books, 100% worth it. So if you want to watch a video on how to build raised beds out of recycled barn material, then you should definitely click on this video here. Have a great day.